If we keep going like this, banning fossil fuels and rushing headlong into renewable energy, are we heading to a new Great Depression?
Yeah, I think the Great Depression is probably the best scenario we can hope for. I think it's really, there is a serious threat that we could end up with societal breakdown. You can't run a modern society on renewables. It's just impossible. The whole net zero urge is entirely irrational. It's not being driven by reason. It's being driven by fear and essentially this cult mentality that responds to it. And so we're going and doing things without any plan, without any thought to how we actually do the things they say they want to do in practical terms. And that will eventually lead to disaster. We've seen in recent weeks, just over the last week or two, we've had Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister, starting to raise questions about the cost. Now, this is a major change. I hope that is the start of a return to rationality, but there are still plenty of people out there who want to carry on the way we are. And if they stay in power, and it looks like we'll get a Labour government here next time who are even greener than the Conservatives. So if they carry on the same road, yes, it could end in disaster.
Andrew, you mentioned a word there which is really important. Three words, return to rationality. Now, I've said over and over again on this program and elsewhere, I must be stupid because I can't understand how carbon dioxide, which is 0.04% of the atmosphere, and I keep repeating that so that people understand it, 0.04% of the atmosphere, but human beings in industry or consumption are responsible worldwide for 3%, and little old Australia is responsible for 1.3% of 3% of 0.04%. And so we stand the economy on its head and sign this economic suicide note. Rationality has gone out the window. In layman's language, can you just tell our viewers what these people are on about with net zero?
So, yeah, I think what started out as a reasonable scientific prospect that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, that's not really disputed. You're right that it's only a tiny fraction of the atmosphere, but the science of the greenhouse effect is not really disputed. But that has then, if you like, grown legs and has been turned from, okay, it's a greenhouse gas and will produce a little bit of warming, into, oh, there will be loads of feedback effects and we'll get a lot of warming and that will turn into a crisis and an emergency. And then that's gone even further and it's turned into a cult that people are being driven by this fear and are going off into the crazy net zero stuff. So, we've got ourselves into a real pickle here and we need to get back into pure rationality. It was quite funny. There was an article in the Times yesterday by an economist called Paul Johnson, who used to be on the Climate Change Committee, which is the government's official advisors on net zero, and the people who produced the plans for getting there. He's now no longer on the committee, and he put his hands up and said, we don't have any sensible plan for getting there. There is no plan. I mean, if you go back and read the reports that the Climate Change Committee produces, they're essentially public relations documents. They're saying, oh, this wonderful technology is coming, that wonderful technology is coming, but there is no serious analysis of the problem and how you might solve it. The manpower you might need to solve it, the minerals you might need to solve it, the money you might need to solve it. This thing where Rishi Sunak said people haven't been, successive governments, he said, haven't been straight with the British public about the cost that is going to be involved. He was quite right. And now we're starting to see people say, well, yes, we do need some honesty about it. And the costs are absolutely horrendous. So the official line is that it's going to cost £1.5 trillion by 2050. That's roughly £100,000 per household. That's the official line. If you go in and look at the numbers behind it, you realize it's essentially fictional. The costs are going to be way, way higher than that.
9 trillion by
Probably
2060.
triple.
9 trillion by 2060. 9 trillion.